This will be a different video from my usual ones. We are not going to make a card. I will show you the most frequently used tools that I use with Vellum and the pros and cons and things that you need to be aware. I will also talk about the properties of Vellum and I'll show you the difference. Here I have my 92 GSM Vellum, and as you can see, because it is kind of translucent, you can see very well anything that you put behind it, and you can trace anything. Let's say that you make you're good at handwriting or hand lettering, and you worked on something on one of your pages and it's a sentiment that you love, you can trace the sentiment onto your vellum time and time again just by placing the vellum on top of the paper. I would tape it so it doesn't shift, it doesn't move around while you're trying to do it. All you need, I'm showing here on the screen, is some kind of either permanent pen or waterproof pen, and just use them. There are several different brands in the market, different colors, different widths, and it's good to have some variety. Like I would get a 0.1 and also a 1.0, and so I can do different hand lettering if that's the case, if that's my thing. For just tracing, the thinner one would be okay. Here I'm showing you like how easily you can trace a word, and after this one I'll show you how easily you can actually trace an image. It's the same thing. There are several free downloadable images on the internet, so if let's say you don't have an angel, if you look it up, free printable or downloadable angel, and you can print that image or just put the vellum in front of your screen, your monitor, and trace that. I showed you the other two vellums that I have, the heavyweight, so I know I'm using the lighter weight one, but you can trace exactly the same way with the heavier weight ones. It doesn't prevent you from seeing through at all. All you need to have is a bit of a steady hand so your lines are not shaky. I remember I used to shake a lot in the beginning. The other thing that I'm doing wrong here, and I don't recommend you guys doing, I have the mat in the back that is silicone mat, so don't use that. Here I have three different piercing tools. I have my paper piercer and the two ones that I created by melting an empty pen and just sticking a needle into it. If you're going to recreate yourself one of these, make sure you don't let your needle too long or it could break. So if you're going to pierce any patterns onto your vellum yourself, I recommend that you use a towel, and that will make it easier. You could use multiple pages or pieces of vellum stuck together, so you can do it like multiples at once. Don't use more than, I would say, 6 if they're very heavyweight. Don't use more than that, because like the bottom ones, the back ones, will start folding and getting white lines. Here I'm showing you two different pens. They're not permanent pens, I just have them in my stash. And the red one didn't smudge, but the gold one, there is a gel pen, smudged very well. So try your pens before you use them on vellum, because they might actually dry and become permanent, but if you're writing at the moment, they might smudge. If they do smudge, this is one of your alternatives. So you can use a blade to scrape the area they smudged. I'll show you that I did scrape a lot of this one and nothing came out of it. So you can see there's a bit of a powder there that formed like the upper layer, but the color itself actually didn't come off. So I tried something else, which is something new. I never used it before when I used to make my vellum cards, and it worked beautifully. That's a sand eraser. It's a mono sand eraser, and I'm using this one. Actually has a regular, it's half and half. It's regular white eraser, and the other side is the sand eraser. So I'm using the sand side, and as you can see, it removed everything except for that white line that was created because I traced it on, I wrote on it on top of the silicone mat. So just make sure that you do it on a sturdy surface. Now, if you perforate any pattern on your vellum, make sure that you look at the needle and you keep it up and down. Keep it perpendicular to your surface, to your table, to your desk, and don't let it tilt like left, right, forward, or backwards because that could make it break very easily. Here, perforated around that whole sentiment like in a banner shape, and now I'm going to use my scissors to cut out that shape. I've done it before on my videos. If you haven't seen them yet, you will see it in way better detail, and you see the finished cards that I made using this technique. But you basically insert the tip of your scissors into two holes and you cut the spaces in between, and you do that. You move left or right one hole at a time until you cut the whole shape. It looks like it takes a long time and it's tedious, but you really forget about it and time just flies. It takes a little bit of time. It's not the fastest, but you can actually get this rough looking edges. I really love the way it looks. I don't see anything else um, in terms of supplies or tools that will give you this result. I'm going to try to show you here with the back of my hand. There you go. So you get those rough edges. I like the texture a lot. And you can actually do that with any shapes. Here's my Sizzix stamping platform. You can see that the very lightweight vellum, if you use your empty pen and just press it, it will pierce through. But if you start with a little pressure and build up the pressure, then you will probably be doing okay. And as you build up the pressure, you can do like more crisp images, you know, lines or dots or circles as you wish. And again, if you do keep building up that pressure and doing it over and over, it will pierce through. So I'm here showing you 3 different styluses, and all of them except for the bigger one pierce through the vellum. Depending on the pressure. I'm just doing an exercise. I do suggest that you try this if you've never done it before, because you will see, you will learn how much pressure you actually need to use on your vellum so you don't damage it. I'll bring it closer to the camera so you can see the results, and you can clearly see like which ones pierced through. And this one did a little as well, but you couldn't see it, and the big ones didn't do much, but it started cracking a little. You can also see that the paper folds as well if you put too much pressure on it. So here is a bit of alcohol markers. Alcohol markers are great to color on vellum because they dry very quickly and they don't make your vellum warp. Liquid mediums will make your vellum warp. Depending on the weight of your vellum, it might warp more or less, but they will. The glue also makes your, if it's water-based, it will make your vellum warp. That's why I only use like the smallest dots I can create. I am trying to show you, but because this one is lighter weight, you can't really see the difference in color. But if it's heavier weight, you will be able to see a difference in color depending on if you color at the back or at the front of your panel. Here I'm using Wink of Stella, and this one I imagine it's more water-based, so it takes a while to dry and you can smudge it. You can see that you can't really smudge the alcohol one. I have used watercolor. I'm not using it on this video, but you can use watercolor pencils as well, and add just a thirsty brush to spread the ink. It will warp a little, but it won't be too bad. And here is the glue test. This one, because I'm doing vellum on vellum, you can't see the glue at all unless I'm way blinder than I think. But you can see, I'll show you in the camera. I showed you in my previous videos as well, if you add a lot of color to your vellum and you use normal white glue behind it, you won't be able to see either. The cases where you usually see very well is if you add a lot of glue or if you add liquid glue and put it on against a darker background. Thank you. I hope this was helpful. Happy crafting.